All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my beautiful people. Thank you guys for tuning in again. I really appreciate all the support and all the constant feedback that I've been getting. I really appreciate all the likes, all the comments that you guys have been leaving. It really is motivating. I apologize for the little delay on the videos and the content. It's just been a little crazy with school and work, but thankfully, I know last video I talked about my final, which was, I believe, on Thursday last week. Well, I just got the results. It's been 4 days since then. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, today, he actually graded them, and thankfully, I ended up passing my course. So, yeah, shout out multivariable calculus one time. Thankfully, that is donezo. So now I just have to complete physics, and that is it for math, I believe, for the rest of my life. Well, here and there, but yes, thankfully, that is the cream of the crop, you could say, for what it is about this summer. But thankfully, it's all over. And yeah, like in between all the hard work and stuff, I've been trying to get stuff that I appreciate and that makes me feel happy. So this has been coming in over the past like week or so, and I've been dying to make this, but life has been happening. So now is the perfect time to get into it. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and let's get to it. All right, my favorite ones are going to be here and there. I don't want to say which one's my favorite. I feel like it's like talking about your child, you know? Which one's your favorite? Let's start off with the number one. So the first one I'm gonna start off with is gonna be KOD by J. Cole. This one was actually pretty cool because it came out in 2018. At the time of 2018, I remember doing my IB tests, which was like a rigorous 2 year course that you would have to undergo like college level courses in. And thankfully, I ended up getting the diploma and passing the exams. But a lot of I would say a lot of motivation came from this album actually, because I remember studying and walking to my exams listening to this specific album. And I remember my psychology teacher at the time, she was saying that if you would have a routine such as like smelling a specific candle or listening to a specific set of songs, it would be easier for you not only to get in the mood of whatever you are trying to get into the mood for, but it also helps in repetition, you know? So the more you're able to repeat that specific action, the better it is for you to perform as you would listening to that specific thing. So I would always like walk up my specific route and be bumping J. Cole's little KOD album. This one was super cool because I remember he had like triple meanings to it, and I wrote down right here on the side. It was Kids on Drugs, Kings Overdosed, and Kill Our Demons, and they all stood for very specific things on the terms that he would drop on the album. And I thought it was so interesting because this was around the time when like Little Pump, Little Yachty, and all the rappers that start with Little basically, except Little Wayne, were coming out. And I remember this one was very pivotal for him because people either loved it or they hated it. And I think it's grown. And I think his personality that he had, the little Kill Edward thing, was pretty cool. And how people figured out that it was him, it's just him changing pitch or him changing a specific thing. So I thought that was super cool. It was such a great, great, great album. The next one I would say is actually pretty dope. This one is going to be Black Swan by Smino, and I ended up getting this one off of a guy from eBay. Shout out my boy, he didn't even crack the seal or nothing. The condition on this one was actually pretty legit. I would say that this one has to be one of my favorite albums that came out in the 2010s, near the end, because this one came out, let's see, 2017. And I didn't know the exact date that this dropped because I remember being like 15, 16. I remember him bumping or dropping a Ruby Red. That's such a great single. I highly recommend a lot of people listen to that one. But yeah, that was before he ever dropped this. And I became a super fan after he dropped this. And he's been doing so great. I would say my favorite songs off of this one would be, I really like Amphetamine. Amphetamine was really good. Wild Irish Roses to start it off was great. I was just telling my mom the other day that Maraca was something that I didn't like, but it's grown on me just because of that beat progression and that little chop up that he does. So I thought it was pretty cool how he was being experimental, trying new things, but he was still paying homage to a lot of the stuff that he grew up inspired by and wanted to make a little transformative and pay homage to his little city. So he's from St. Louis, which I think is pretty cool because the only two really famous people that I know that are around my age and my generation would be Smino and Metro Boomin that are actually from the St. Louis area. So it's actually pretty cool that they're putting on for their specific areas. I thought it was pretty cool. I wrote it down right here that about 2 times as many female artists are featured on this specific album, which I thought was pretty cool because it complements him as an artist. So the majority of the record is mostly centered around a specific feeling, and I don't know how to describe that feeling because every time I go back to the album it kind of changes. But I thought it was pretty cool that I wasn't the only one that had this feeling, because I guess Rolling Stone in 2017 hailed it as the 40 best rap albums of the year in 2017. So I wasn't crazy thinking that this album was actually pretty transformative and great. 2017, 2016 were both great years for music, so I thought it was pretty great that he dropped this body of work. He just dropped a recent one. I would say that this one has stood the test of time, and I would say that this one has actually maybe outshined the other one, but maybe it's too early to say. Who knows? I really do appreciate him for putting in such great work. The next one, oof, we're getting into some bangers. This one is one that actually happened to drop right before he passed away. So this was Young Dolph's Rich Slave. This one was super awesome because it's him in a Lamborghini. The actual cover art that you see on like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, whatever, is actually going to be like a colorful one, and I think I like the black and white one a little more. It just shines a little better. So I thought it's cool because it's like a little matte coloring and it's all cartoony. The design of this one was super cool, and the person that I bought this from, he actually ended up getting the limited edition one with the 2 vinyls that are different colors. So Dolph really liked the color blue and he really liked the color orange. So one of the it's a 2 LP vinyl set, but one of the LPs is blue, one of the LPs is orange. I thought that was really cool because I didn't think he was going to be able to drop something so great right before he passed, and this was like a culmination of a lot of great tapes that he dropped before he ended up passing. So I thought it was super great that he dropped songs such as like Hold Up, Hold Up, Hold Up. To Be Honest was a great one. I think the most played song that I've played off of this was Cray Cray. I play that song all the time at work. I know I'm not supposed to, but man, just something about that. And I remember hearing about the fact that, I don't know what was it, Subway, or it was like a major restaurant or chain business, that I think 2 or 3 coworkers actually were playing some of his songs and they got fired. And I thought that was crazy hearing about it at the time. And when they got fired, this fool got word of it and he flew them out to his show and gave them each like I think 10,000, 20,000. And I thought that was so crazy because he's like, yeah, like y'all were making how much at your job? And then they were like, X amount, X, I'm making this amount. And they ended up doing some crazy stuff, hooking up the young lads. And I thought it was super lit that Young Dolph and his team was able to do that. So shout out my boy. I hope he's doing well on the paper route empire, as he says. So yeah, I'm super stoked that I was able to actually cop this. I still be playing this album religiously, so I thought it was pretty cool. To top it up, I don't know if you can top it up, but this is going to be one of the dopest ones. So this is Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. This one was released right before he passed, and I remember reading about the fact that some of these songs were withheld for multiple years. I forget which one off the top of my head he held and he spoke about. For 5 or 6 years he held it. I don't know if it was a hook or a verse that he had for a long time, but I thought it was pretty cool that he was able to release such great music right before he passed. It turns out I was looking into this album, doing a little research, and this album just reached double platinum certification, which is super awesome. And it just so happened to land on the 5th anniversary of the release of this album, which was February 16, 2018, which was when this was released, and the 5-year anniversary of that would be 2023 of that specific date. And it's so awesome that he was able to reach a double platinum certification with this specific album. And yeah, some great songs off of this. I would say last time that I checked, featuring YG was such a banger when it came out, and it still is. It's cool learning about the fact that LeBron James fun fact, I ended up having to re-listen and redo this specific portion because I wanted to make sure I got this right. But it turns out that the song Blue Laces 2 was inspired by LeBron James, and Nipsey Hussle and him both agreed that this was so dope because he had been listening to Blue Laces and was flattered by the inclusion on this album, this being LeBron James, you know? So LeBron would bump Blue Laces back in the day, and he would always talk about him bumping Nipsey, and it's cool how Blue Laces 2 came to be, and it just so happens to be about LeBron and a little homage. So I thought that was super dope how they were both always looking out for each other. And yeah, I would say this one is probably cemented as like maybe the biggest commercial success Nipsey Hussle's ever seen, and it sucks that he ended up passing away right before this happened. But yeah, I'm so happy I'm able to hold this physically, and shout out my boy. The marathon continues, you know what I'm saying? So it's super cool how he was able to do that. So yeah, he's been dropping a bunch of mixtapes, but I believe this one was like his first commercial debut because he was a really astute businessman, and he was always looking for what was the best decision to be making. So I thought that was super cool. Woo, talking about businessmen, let's talk about some Mac. So I was just telling my mom this, so I didn't know whether to include this in this one or the next video, but I couldn't hold myself, so this one's gonna be lit. The debut album of Mac Miller is Blue Slide Park, and it just so happens I got this one, and they restocked the translucent green one, the limited edition one, so I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't want to just have the regular one for my boy. I wanted to get the little something special, and this one's pretty cool. I was re-listening to some of these on the phone, and man, some of these are really cool. On the Off the Soul is of the Soul, not Off the Soul, of the Soul is probably my favorite off of this one. But I remember, I think it was Smile Back was the most played song off of this one. So it's super cool how he was able to do this. And looking at it, this was the first independent album to reach #1 status in the Billboard. And it's pretty cool because the last time that happened was like in 1995, I believe. And that was Snoop Dogg's The Dog Pound, which is crazy because I love both of those. So this album and The Dog Pound were both great albums for the time. So I thought it was pretty cool. And I remember him getting a lot of hate for this. He dropped I Love Life, Thank You, Thank You, Thank You in 2011. And he also dropped this in 2011. And it just so happens that a lot of people hated it. So they were giving him that like frat rap specific term and connotation to him. But I do think that he progressed a lot. Maybe not in the sense that a lot of people wanted him to, but he did progress, and he was able to deliver in ways that a lot of people maybe not have appreciated. So I thought it was really awesome that Mac was able to do his #1 debut with this one. And it just so happens that I think the week of his passing, this actually resurfaced onto Billboard Top 200, and it was able to get like a little standing on it. So it's actually cool, pretty cool that it was able to be able to go into the record books again, you could say, and go into the charts. So that's pretty cool. All right, the next one that I got is going to be BDE, Best Day Ever by Mac Miller. This one was the one that I just got today. This one was the one that I've been waiting for a minute. The USPS people said that they couldn't deliver it to my house, and I felt so bad because they withheld it from me for 2 days, and those 2 days felt eternal. It felt like 3 years. So thankfully I was able to get it. Yeah, this is the one featuring Donald Trump. So it's so funny how he was able to get like a whole beef with the president of the United States that we got right now before he even became a president. And I think the video amassed like 100 million views or some crazy number. If I were to look at the video on YouTube, it'd probably be over 100 million right now. So I think it's pretty cool. This was released in 2011 as well as a mixtape. So I think it's pretty crazy that this dude was working like madman. 2010, 2011, 2012, he was just dropping bangers after bangers after bangers. So I thought it was pretty cool. He was able to get a lot of great songs. I think my favorite song off of this one would have to be She Said, and I just have a lot of great memories skating around, listening to that track, and just like feeling free with all my friends. So I thought that was super cool that he was able to do that. And it's cool how he was able to do the transition with the first and the last track. So it's the first and second instrumental that are placed. I wrote this down. I wanted to make sure I got this right. So yeah, The title track Best Day Ever was produced using two different instrumentals, with one version opening the mixtape and the other closing it, creating a sense of both excitement and reflection. So this is what kind of like opened and closed the album, and I thought that was pretty cool because he was able to give such a cohesive idea onto a record before he even turned like 30. So I think that's pretty cool. He was able to be so introspective. He was less than 25. He was less than 22. So I thought that was pretty cool that he was able to do such great things while he was young. And yeah, the last one, the Jewel. This one, man, they've been sold out of this one for a minute on their store. And I didn't just want to get the regular one. I didn't want to pull the trigger on getting the $150 one because it's been sold out and it's been waiting for a minute for it to restock. But thankfully, they restocked the clear vinyl, and I'm so happy because this album was his second posthumous release, and I thought it was pretty cool because this album was released at the same time as Faces, and it's awesome that he was able to do two tapes that are totally different vibes. I think that the fact that he was able to do Faces and Balloonerism within not only 6 months, I think the person who was his engineer or producer said that they did about 90 or 95% of this within a week. Man, that is a crazy week because there's songs like Shangri-La and Rick's Piano, and what else is on here? Funny Papers was such a great one. I would say the DJ's chord organ featuring SZA sounds so trippy because you actually get to see the fact that SZA was younger, and you could hear it in her voice, and with more rawness and emotion. Like Mac really let her loose on this track, and it's cool because maybe people thought that it was going to be like newer SZA hopping on the track, but then they hear it and it's a way younger, rawer vocal tonation to SZA's part. So I thought it was super cool, and it was actually going to be, I think, not released for a little while. I don't know if it was because of samples or if it was because of his record label. I don't know if they've ever actually disclosed that, but I will say that this album has grown so well, and it just proves that it's almost like Mac's final send off. Like he wanted to release this when he passed away. It almost felt like so. It sucks that he wasn't able to be here to see the final release, but I'm glad that he was able to work on it and that his parents were able to release it along with his estate. So I thought that was really cool. And shout out my boy for being able to release such great songs. And yeah, like man, so many great songs. Am I missing anything? I don't think so at the moment. I got more stuff planned. I apologize for the delay of videos. Man, what can I say? I just want to say thank you once again, and I hope to continue this grind. I've been really trying to stay 10 toes, trying to stay my ground and stay committed to this because I've really been having a lot of fun. Not only just talking, but it feels new. It's something that's not comfortable to me, but it's something that I want to be comfortable with. So, yeah, I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys for always tuning in and listening to me. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day / night / weekend / whenever you are hearing this. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Deuces. Take care, peeps.